If I talked like this, would you know who I was speaking about or speaking like? You know that I'm speaking like a Kiwi, and you know I love a Kiwi accent. This week's guest is a Kiwi. Her name's Melanie Bracewell. If you don't know who she is, you do know who she is. She's everywhere at the moment. Wow. She's on Cheap Seats. She does stand-up. She's a writer for Wellington Paranormal, which is a sitcom, brilliant show. Sitcom. Is it a sitcom? Are they still called situation comedies? I don't know. You might know her as the woman that used to take the piss out of. She'd do a piss take of Jacinda Ardern during COVID, and she did her brilliantly. I get to chat to her today. I was quite nervous talking to her because of her intellect, because I've followed her career, and every time I see her on TV or on the internet, she's always quick, smart. So I said to myself, don't try to be funny, because you can't out-funny a funny person, and you don't know if they're going to appreciate your mediocre humour or not. But she was so gracious. She's so lovely, and I think I got a pretty good conversation out of her. So here she is. Enjoy, Melanie Bracewell. Is your middle name Rita?
It is. Wow, you've really deep dived.
Look, that's just on your Wikipedia. What made me laugh was that your uncles are in your Wikipedia?
Yes, my uncles are cricketers.
Okay.
So, yes.
I was really hoping you had done that and you just put in your two random uncles.
Yeah, just give them a little bit of limelight. They have enough limelight as it is. One of them was the coach of the Black Caps and also played for the Black Caps. No. And another one played for the Black Caps as well. My cousins are in the Black Caps. So I get that a lot, especially when I'm doing like Triple M or something. They're like, hey, do you know them? Are you related to them? How, like, what are they like? What are they like in real life? And like, I have to be like, yes, they're my uncles. They're not my dad. They think maybe that could be my dad. Oh, yeah. My dad is the only one in his family that didn't pursue cricket. He's into IT. So that's less interesting to talk about.
Yeah. But do you go into it anyway? Just start, because you know what I'm going to tell you about though, my dad.
Yeah.
He's IT.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard of it?
Yeah. He's scoring a 6 on the spreadsheets. It's amazing.
Men in sport, they're just mad. Like, it doesn't matter who you're related to. If it's anything to do with sport, they're like, yeah, wow, what's he really like? Yeah, like, he's exactly the man on the pitch.
Exactly,
really,
I know. And you
guy.
go, I've forged quite a cool career myself. No, tell me about your uncles.
Yeah. Now, let's talk about your career. Like, I was just saying to my producer, her back catalogue is huge. Oh. And I obviously have seen your work in this country and stand-up and stuff for a while, but I didn't know how young you were. You've achieved a lot for wee baby.
Everyone listening at home, I'm 17.
Like, you've got a 40-year-old's experience. Like, you've really excelled through, like, to be a writer of a TV show that's just so incredible, and writing and hosting a show, like, all of these things that normally come to women in their 30s, you know, because they've worked hard and they've kind of proven themselves and blah, 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 you know, all the boring bullshit things that women have to do. You've just, you know, and deservedly so, have gotten there.
I think it comes from, I'm the youngest of 6.
You?
So you kind of grow up a little bit more rapidly. My eldest sister is in her 40s. And so, you know, you're growing up constantly with adults, and so then you feel like you are an adult a lot younger.
It makes a difference, doesn't it?
You're mostly wrong at the beginning. Like, you're 16 and you feel like, oh, why don't I have a mortgage? But, you know, for the most part, it's you learn from your siblings' mistakes and their triumphs and everything, and you just kind of soak it all in quietly in the corner and emerge like a butterfly.
So how old's the eldest?
The eldest, she's just turned 42, I think.
So 42 and you're 28 and everything in between.
Yeah, exactly.
6 kids. Your mum, whoa.
Wow. So it's some of them are half siblings.
Okay.
So mum had 4 kids. My dad had 4 kids. 2 of those kids were together, so it's 6 in total.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I love a bit of a blended family.
Yeah,
as well.
it really is. And we get along well.
That's good.
That's a relief.
That is a relief.
That is good. Yeah.
I remember at school, like, anyone that was really mature to me was always because they had older siblings.
And you would think it would be the other way around because they're looking after young kids. But I think when you develop like a sense of humour as well, that's a little bit older because you're just sort of joining in on your siblings' jokes and things like that.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and even if you don't get it, you have to you laugh until you get it.
Yeah.
I'm the baby as well. And my humour was really made from my parents. Like they were Steve Martin fans and like, that kind of really stupid humour that I never understood what they were laughing at until I did understand what they were laughing at. They were like Faulty Towers and stuff like that. But who made your humour? And like who did you used to watch and love?
My dad is a huge fan of stand-up comedy, and so we watched quite a lot of stand-up as well. He would make me watch Richard Pryor, which is quite intense for a child, but he was like
intense.
Yes, but he's like, this is comedy. He sort of changed the world a little bit with his comedy, and that's pretty amazing. I mean, I grew up on Flight of the Conchords as a Kiwi, and I was in intermediate school when that came out. And
brilliant.
It was pretty much my entire personality was Flight of the Conchords. I knew all of their songs off by heart, and I would sing it around the playground. And now it's like so surreal that I'm working with Jermaine. And so, that doesn't usually happen. You're not like, oh my God, I'm the biggest Swiftie in the world and now I'm opening for her.
Yeah.
You know, like it's what it feels like.
Did you start stand-up? Like, was that where you started?
I started on Tumblr, actually.
Okay.
Which is a blogging website. Do you remember? Okay, your producer is just nodding and laughing, but
it was a big thing
when
for
I
you
was
kids.
16, I had a Tumblr blog that weirdly blew up, and I got like 200,000 followers when I was like 16, just writing jokes on there.
Yeah.
And then when I was 19, a competition came out for a TV show in New Zealand called 7 Days, and it was like, if you just do a video of you being funny, you can audition to be on the show as like a promotion. And so I'd never done stand-up before, but I was like, I'll just do this video competition, and all my followers on my blog sort of egged me on.
Yeah.
And I essentially just did some of the jokes that I had written for Tumblr to a camera, and then got on the show for 5 minutes. But it was, I was like, oh my God, I'm a star, you know, like you're on TV for 5 minutes and you think that you have cracked it.
Yeah.
I was walking around the mall like,
is someone gonna
no
ask
one
me?
ever recognized me for it, but like in my head I thought, everyone here knows who I am. Like it's just, you become delusional.
Well, at least you became famous for you were doing something other than just, going on Married at First Sight.
Oh, yes.
Like
that's
walking
a
around
relief.
going, everyone's going to know who I am.
Yeah.
And I'm famous. And they do.
Yeah.
And you're not for anything pop. Like, okay, so you started doing stand-up from there.
Yes, started doing stand-up and essentially just entered like the Raw Comedy competition and then won that. Which was very nice. So I got a lot of early accolades that kind of nudged me along.
Yeah.
And I think those things are so helpful, especially I think as a woman in comedy. You're sort of going upstream a little bit, so that those little extra nudges, those little bits of like affirmation. Yeah. Every woman I meet that's in comedy is never like, oh, when I was a kid, I knew I wanted to be a stand-up comedian. Because you just don't think that that's possible.
No.
Yet every man I meet in comedy is like, when I was 7, I knew I wanted to be Jerry Seinfeld. Like it's amazing.
It is, isn't it? It's like the confidence of a mediocre white man. They have that. I can do that.
Yeah.
And luckily some of them can.
Yeah,
but a lot of them can't. It's like, you know what they should do? They think to themselves, I'm going to start a podcast because my thoughts are brilliant. And okay, I know I've started a podcast. My thoughts are brilliant though. So, okay, you stand up. And then Jermaine had seen you in a bit of stand-up.
So he had actually sent one of the producers of Wellington Paranormal to go watch me do stand-up because...
That's not bad.
Yeah, Jermaine had followed me on Twitter for some time, and again, I did a similar thing with Tumblr. I was just writing jokes on Twitter.
Your Twitter is brilliant.
Thank you. And he would repost them every now and again, and I would be like, oh my gosh, they'd like blow up. I'm like, oh gosh. And you always get nervous when someone like that you idolise follows you on social media. You're like so nervous. You're like, oh God, this better be good. What if they see a clanger?
Imposter syndrome comes.
Yeah, absolutely. And so he just got me to pitch ideas. He went out to quite a lot of people and went, pitch some ideas. This is the concept of the show. It's cops meets paranormal activity, and that's what the show is. And so come up with some ideas, essentially just sort of make it X-Files-y but funny. And so I came up with some ideas and they liked my ideas. And I was like, oh, gosh. I think I didn't even tell them how old I was because I was in my early 20s.
Well, it doesn't matter. It shouldn't matter. I mean, the fact that I've even mentioned it, it shouldn't be even mentioned, but it is.
Oh, it is nice to feel that way. But it is funny how it kind of, as time goes on, obviously it's less impressive.
Yeah.
So like every time I had my bio, like when I first started, my bio was at only 19 years old. She's been carving the stand-up scene. And then every year I'd have to change it. Only 24 years old, 27 years old. And you're like, okay, now it's not worth mentioning in the bio at all. Like, you're almost 30. Let's just chill out.
Yeah. So are you the main writer?
No, so we've got a team of us, but I've worked on every season, and essentially we've got 6 writers and 6 episodes.
Do you have a writer's room?
Yeah, writer's room.
Do you love a writer's room?
Oh, it's so fun.
Because I love 30 Rock, and I just love the writer's room on that. Like, is it like that?
It's a little bit like that. With Wellington Paranormal, because it was so low budget, it was like most writers' rooms. I've done other writers' rooms now that are like 13 weeks.
Yeah.
Our writer's room for Wellington Paranormal was 1 week. And so we're all gathered round and it's just
Pressure's
like
on.
Throw things out there.
Yeah.
Okay, there's a big monster and it eats people. Okay, all right, that's on the whiteboard. And that's what I loved about that show as well, is that most of it was like, what's a funny horror trope? Okay, let's take that and subvert it and make it an investigation of what could go wrong. One of my favourite episodes we spitballed about, I didn't write this episode, Tom Sainsbury did, but it when we were talking about it, it made me laugh so much because there's that horror trope where, something's on an Indian burial ground.
Yes.
And so we did one on a Pakeha burial ground, which is Māori for white person.
Right.
And so Maka, the sergeant, gets possessed by a white ghost and starts talking like white people going, oh, it's the humidity, isn't it? It's not the heat that gets you, it's the humidity. And it was just one of the funnest episodes to write. It was just, it was just those silly ideas when they sprout. You're like, okay, we've got something really funny here and it's really exciting.
When things don't work, is that like pretty obvious?
I think so. I think, especially when Jermaine was in the room. So he wasn't in the room every day in the writer's room, but he'd come in and we'd go, okay, this is what we've thought of. And you can tell when he's like, shuffles in his seat and it's like, okay, this is great. And then when he doesn't say anything, you go, we'll just skip through that one. We'll move on to the next one. But that's always quite scary, especially when you submit a script. And every script will always have notes. There'll always be feedback. And they always start with, lots of great stuff in here. And there you go, okay, all right. You've paved the way for some critiques, which is important. But yeah, it's always this terrifying process, but always makes the show so much better.
So you still do stand-up, and you're doing stand-up right now.
Yes.
Right now.
Right now.
Melbourne International Comedy.
I'm on stage right now, and the audience is very quiet.
Your show right now, Attack of the Melanie Bracewell, is playing right now.
Yes, during the Melbourne International Comedy Festival. I'm doing the whole month, so every night.
So tell me what you do stand-up. Mm-hmm. So obviously you started in stand-up. Mm-hmm. Is that your first love?
Yeah, I don't know. It's hard to tell. I've always I did a screen production degree at university, so I always knew I wanted to be somewhere related to
What's a screen production degree look like?
So I majored in television. I did a communications degree and majored in television and screen production. Okay. So essentially it was a lot of communications. Yep. Journalism, few journalism papers, few radio papers, but in the end I made like a documentary for my final.
Do you still have that?
It was about DVD, the last remaining DVD rental store in Auckland.
Oh, that would have been great.
Yeah, it was cool. It was really cute. There's just one guy
sad.
I know it was a little sad, just sort of doing a kind of ghost town look at the last remaining DVD rentals shop.
And did you get a what do you get scored in university, like really good distinction?
Yeah, I think I got a good grade. It's quite the best compliment ever is some people that go to my university now go, hey, we just watched your documentary. So that's been used as an exemplar, which is nice.
Yeah. And you'll be asked to go back to that university one day and be an honorary something.
Oh, that would be great.
Yeah, that would be the funnest. And get to do that speech before all the graduates that are graduating that year, and you do that. Oh, that would be fun.
I would love that.
You will one day.
Yeah, okay. Cool.
What university was it?
It was AUT University, which stands for Auckland University of Technology University. Because I think it changed from like a polytechnic into a university. And so they went, let's put university in there twice so people make make sure that they know that it's a university now.
We do now. Congratulations on the Logie.
Oh, thank you.
For Cheap Seats,
Yeah.
finally. Like, you've been nominated. And
Yes. So we got nominated previously, but we're up against some heavy hitters.
Yeah.
And this year it was not the popular vote one, so it was chosen by a panel, which I was like, phew. Because there were very popular shows that we're up against.
Yeah.
And I wasn't there at the Logies when we won. I was in Canada. And so I was waking up, having my breakfast and getting drunk phone calls being like, congratulations. And I'm like, I'm just having my special K. This is great.
Of all the times to go over to Canada is when you win.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I did Just for Laughs Montreal, which is one of those big festivals.
that's okay.
So I was like, this is
than
worth it. I'm very excited to be there. And there'll be, hopefully, many more Logies to come. But
Yeah.
unfortunately, JFL has been axed for this next year. So I'm like, I got in right before they cancelled it.
So JFL Just for Laughs, it's been axed.
Yes, I think temporarily. I think they'll bring it back. It's just
Good.
this year. But I was like,
Because that's
hope
a
I don't have
huge
anything to
thing.
do with
Like,
it.
people love Just
It's
for Laughs.
huge. Yeah, I know. It's
What
such
a
a
shame.
sad.
Oh, well. But Montreal, that's the Mecca.
It was very surreal to be.
Have you done Edinburgh?
I'm doing it for the first time this year.
But that's Mecca as well. Like, that's...
Yeah, I know. It's one of those things that, I mean, Melbourne feels long when you do the full month, but Edinburgh is even more. So you do like 23 shows in Melbourne and you do like 30 in Edinburgh. So that's like an extra week. And I'm so nervous. People say that Edinburgh is like Melbourne, except the highs are higher and the lows are lower. So you have you'll be on top of the world, and then the next day you'll be like, I want to quit. I hate this. So that's what I'm prepared for. At least I know sort of what to expect.
Yeah. I mean, you've been around for a while though, so a lot of people will already know who you are.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I mean, I just did a tour of the
hope.
UK, and you were like, I was taken aback by people knowing me there. I just thought, okay, we'll do this tour of the UK, but really it'll be all the Australians and New Zealanders who have relocated to the UK.
But no, we
and
have
I'm just
the
following
internet
them.
now.
Yeah, I know. And so I would ask every night, who's from Australia or New Zealand? And it would be like 10% of the crowd. So
Wow,
that was a good test to be like, okay, this isn't a
so
horrible
Edinburgh will be
mistake.
fine, will be
I hope
great.
so.
But you still have your highs and your lows.
Yeah.
Do you get heckled?
Sometimes, but I think for the most part, people don't heckle in a negative way, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
People now, especially because like the rise of TikTok, crowd work, that kind of stuff, people think, oh, I'm supposed to be part of this.
Yeah.
And so they're not actually trying to, upset you or be like, you're shit or anything. They just kind of want to go, I've got something to add.
Yes.
And you go, oh, I'm actually doing the show. But I mean, good on you.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
Write me.
Yeah, exactly.
Send
You
me
can
a
just send me a
tweet.
DM after
Yeah.
this. It'll be fine.
Oh
Yeah.
my God. So Cheap Seats, can we talk about that? How
Yeah.
did that come about?
Yeah, so essentially the working dog brains of genius, essentially.
They are such genius.
Yeah, I mean,
you've gone from Flight of the Conchords to Working Dog. Like, you're in freaking good company.
It's amazing because when I started on Have You Been Paying Attention, obviously I knew it was a popular show and I knew everyone loved it. I did not know the breadth of the Working Dog discography, if you will.
It's amazing, isn't
and
it?
I kind of think that was good because I did have been paying attention going, I'm just doing this panel show in Australia.
Yeah.
And people are like, that's Working Dog, And I'm like, oh. And then I'm like, look at, the castle. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, the dish. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. You've done, like all of these amazing things they've done. And I go, thank goodness I didn't meet them for the first time thinking, oh, I'm such a fan. Oh, my God. And then, retroactively became a huge fan of them.
Yeah. And that's really interesting because I grew up with the D generation as they were back then, like most of them. And they were huge in the 80s. Like in Melbourne, they were on radio, but we didn't have, I'm from Sydney and we didn't have that. So I just only could see them on TV. And I was of an age when I should be going out on a Saturday night, but I would prefer to stay at home and watch the D generation at 11 o'clock at night on the ABC.
I've been binging some of the sketches on YouTube and I'm just like, it's pretty amazing how well they hold up.
Well, that's what I was going to say. They've aged
hilarious.
well, so many.
Yeah, they're hilarious. And that is a sketch you could put on television today. And it would be great. Or it'd be a TikTok sketch or something and blow up.
I would have been like losing my shit to meet any of them. So it would have really worked in your favour to not know
I'd be like,
that.
she's really chill. Yeah, it's the same thing. And I would feel the same way about big comedy stars in New Zealand.
Yeah.
And people come over and do 7 days, which is the equivalent of having paying attention. And I can imagine they go, I'm just doing this panel show. But when I was growing up, that was my Friday night, watching that show. So it's really surreal. But those guys are so great.
Yeah.
And I'm always just shocked that they kind of also let us do our own thing.
Yeah.
So you think that maybe there's going to be micromanagement of at least Channel 10 or maybe a little bit of working out. You think that they're always going to be like watching everything you do.
Yeah.
No, they just watch the rehearsal and they go, great job. And we just kind of left our own devices.
Wonderful.
It's really kind of crazy. We go, we have control over, we ask the graphics department to make something and then it happens. Really surreal. Like we're like sitting in a room and we go, we could do a segment on gardening, I guess, and then we call up the graphics department, like, can you have like a flower like emerging from a pot and then it says gardening day or something, and then we do the show and it's been made and we're like, you feel like, I don't know, some sort of mastermind that's just like put all these things together and people are doing things for the show. It's amazing.
It's a great show. Congratulations on that. Just being in that show. But are you the main writer, like you and Tim?
Tim and I know people are surprised by that sometimes, that Tim and I actually
hosts
totally.
Normally, but knowing you're a writer, it's not surprising at all. I would expect it and be a little bit disappointed if you weren't.
And Tim is an incredible writer as well. So we just get together on a Monday to write the show for Tuesday. So we put it together, we find clips, we pitch each other the clips we've found. We have a couple of researchers that also submit some clips, but Tim and I watch them together and we go, this is funny. And if we both laugh at one clip, we know that it's probably funny. We've got slightly different senses of humour, so we know, okay, if it fits this sort of Venn diagram of humour, then it's probably good enough for the show. And those Mondays, sometimes I get the giggles so hard. Just like we'll have like Rob Sitch walk in and be like, it's going to be a good show this week, because he can hear us just like cackling with laughter at some of the clips that we've found that week.
Oh my God, your life is brilliant.
Oh, I'm so blessed. Really,
but I mean, it's not. You're not lucky. You know, you deserve it. But blessed is a lovely way to feel. But your job is just great.
I feel very pleased. I've had some other, jobs along the way, and that's just, part of life. And I feel so relieved that I don't have to be a full-time kids party entertainer, which I was when I was like in my 20s, dressing up as Elsa.
People have to do that for a while. You dressed as Elsa?
I dressed as Elsa for a while.
Oh, that's the good one.
Yeah, that is good.
Did you have to sing?
Sometimes they would play the song and I would sing along. And honestly, that wasn't part of the job, but I was a little theatre kid and I was like, I guess I'll do it. I guess this is my, oh my God, where's my close-up? This is my song. This is my song. Don't make me sing. Okay, I'll sing.
Don't make me sing. So you sound so happy also with your career. Now, a lot of comedians have depression or some kind of darkness. You don't seem to be that person, or am I completely incorrect?
Oh, I think I definitely had my moments in that sphere, and right now I feel really happy and I feel really fulfilled, and I've got ways of coping with those sorts of things at the moment. But yeah, I've definitely had those really dark times, and I don't know if it's necessarily like a comedian thing. It's just maybe you're more likely to hear about it from a comedian. Right. And so I think sometimes people have this stereotype of the sad clown, and because it seems at odds with their personality. Oh, they're so bubbly, they're so funny, and yet they're really sad inside. But then there's also some people that are like that and they're working just a regular job and they're also really sad, but you just might not hear about it.
We don't care about that.
Well, it's just I don't know. It's
weird.
Well,
you don't use it for their work.
yeah, exactly. And so as comedians, we sometimes, and it's probably not a healthy thing to do, we do go, well, I'm sad now, but I could use it for my art, and I can really make something interesting out of this. Yeah, exactly. And you do put a lot of yourself out there, and there's an element of being in the public sphere that's kind of scary, and you do get a bit overwhelmed. And I would say I've had some really, really down times in my life. At the moment, those sorts of moments come and go. They're a little bit less all-consuming, I guess.
Yeah.
And I'm just kind of, day by day. We all just have, bad days and things like that. But
for
the
that's
most part,
good.
I feel really good at the moment. So that's
So
nice.
hopefully the cheap seats will just keep going and going. Like, is that something you want to keep going?
Yeah,
for a long
I mean,
time?
it's
a very clever show.
Oh,
you're
thank
both
you.
very clever.
Oh, Tim is actually one of the smartest guys I know.
Did you two pitch yourselves for that show, or did they put you together?
He put us together. So Working Dog, essentially, when they're putting together Have You Been Paying Attention, they go, we find so much stuff when we're doing this research. But it doesn't really fit the show.
Yeah.
So they say it's a clip, but it's longer than 10 seconds. It won't really fit Have You Been Paying Attention. It's a little bit too fast-paced. Surely there's a vessel for this content because a lot of it is newsreader flubs or, there's so much of this media landscape or the media coverage of things has always been our angle, which kind of lets us get away with a little bit. So sometimes you have something that's a big story like the Queen's funeral and you don't want to be like a million jokes about someone who's just died, but you can do a million jokes about someone covering a line for 48 hours, just going in a line and having nothing to report on. And so they go, what are you eating? A chicken noodle soup? And so a lot of our show, we kind of get away with being a bit cheeky because we're never really poking fun of everyday people. We're poking fun of our media friends who go, oh, what an honour to be on the show. We're blessed. We find it really funny. So it's nice. It's nice in that way.
Oh, that does make sense. It's not punching down.
Yeah, I hope
punching
not.
across.
Yeah,
so it's not too bad. You're
we're
more
nudging
your peers.
over the other networks at Channel 9 and then they're just back and then, it's fun.
To be on that show, you would be a bit chuffed.
Yes, I mean, we get it sometimes where we'll see someone on the Today Show say something silly and then go, oh, we're going to be on the cheap seats, aren't we? And it's a bit of we like to be that kind of vessel for those silly moments.
I love that. I was on Gogglebox for 8 seasons. When we found out, because I've worked behind the scenes in TV for a long time, so I knew a lot of people in the industry. And when the first time I found out that when they pitch shows to the marketing team, they're like, is it Gogglebox worthy? Is it going to get on?
Oh, interesting.
Because we don't care if it's good or bad. It's just the reactions to the show are always so authentic and it makes people watch the show.
Oh,
it makes
that's
so
amazing.
many people watch the show. A lot of people just
that.
watch Gogglebox to catch up on TV of a week's worth of TV.
Absolutely.
Which is what I do with the cheap seats and Have You Been Paying Attention?
Oh, nice.
That's how I catch up on everything that I haven't got time to catch up on.
That's what we hope to do is we just kind of collate all of the fun stuff of the week. There are definitely some territories which we don't sort of go into. And so we're not really going to cover all of the bleakest news in the world.
And that's good.
People get a lot of that already. And
that's right.
And so we want to be like, here is the Cockroach Cup where they're racing cockroaches down in this small town, and just see a little bit of the fun sort of stuff happening regionally around Australia as well.
Is it live?
So we record it during the day, and so we always record it on a Tuesday.
Jacinda Ardern. Brilliant.
Oh, thank you.
And, I mean, you got the Tumblr 200. That's what I'm going to call it from now on, the Tumblr 200K. But that must have been a similar kind of thing where that just blew up.
Yes, I would say I could do my own sort of Taylor Swift Eras tour of my different kind of bits or things that kind of had blown up. And the Jacinda thing was definitely up there. I mean, she was on our TV every single day.
Yeah.
So that was the time at 1 p.m. she would go, this is how many coronavirus cases there are in New Zealand. And so she was just one of those people looked at every single day, and it was just...
How did you figure it out? Did you just look at her and go, we have similar features?
I had done a video. I was trying to do a little bit of TikTok to be like, okay, how can I make the most of being stuck inside and try and make some content? And so I was just doing kind of makeup videos, and someone went, when I put makeup on, they went, you look like Jacinda. Oh, he's our Prime Minister. And I was like, okay, I think if I accentuated this a little bit more and, I had blonde hair at the time, but my regrowth was long enough that I could sort of tie it back and looked brunette. And that's sort of how it came together. And
you nailed the accent.
Oh, that was funny how I just genuinely, I didn't make an effort to change my voice at all. But people go, your impression, the voice was incredible. I was like, no, I just have a New Zealand accent.
You're falling out of your chair. We have the same sense we're from. But what a lovely woman.
Oh, she was so nice. She had commented, like, you do my makeup better than I do. I was like, oh my gosh, what prime minister would ever do that? Like, you wouldn't see Donald Trump replying to a Donald Trump impression being like, oh, great job, champ. Like,
well, you definitely would. It wouldn't be a positive.
Yeah, exactly.
It would be this is the worst, the biggest worst.
Yeah.
But yeah, a really lovely lady. So I'm glad that you did, because she would have really appreciated the humour and comedy because she was going through so much fucking.
Definitely. I know.
Such a stressful time for so many people at that.
And I almost felt like, because when I had some regrowth, I could tie my hair in a ponytail and look like her. But I was asked to do a Labour event. It was like their launch of their campaign, and come in and they'd be like introducing Jacinda Ardern, and I would walk out, and I walked out and sort of talked to her home electorate.
Did they love it?
And yes, but I felt bad because at that point we'd been out of lockdown, and so I went back blonde, and so I had to wear. I was like, I need a wig, and the only wig I could acquire was from Facebook Marketplace, the rattiest brunette wig you've ever seen. And so I'm putting this ratty wig on, being like, oh my God. And then I meet her and I'm like, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, I've not done this on purpose.
Yeah, I'm just like, people say I look like you. And I'm just like, look like I've had intercourse in a bush or something. It's,
Oh, she
terrible.
wouldn't care.
Yeah, no, she laughed at it. And then she did a video with me, which I was like, oh.
Yeah,
great.
yeah. I love that video that you got. I've just loved meeting the fans.
Yeah.
And what's your name? That's enough now. That's enough. We've had the photo. Bye-bye.
I saw her in an airport a week later and she went, oh, Melanie. She like stopped me and she went, Melanie, I had like a plate of scones. I was like, hi. And she's like, I've got one qualm with your videos that you made me seem rude. And I was like, no, just because my characterization of her was get away from me.
Get away. Yeah. Oh, no, I think it worked brilliant. People would have loved it.
Yeah.
But, as a politician, you've just got to overthink everything, like back and forth. And
absolutely.
Jesus, she went through a lot, that woman. I hope she's enjoying her retirement or whatever the hell she's doing.
She deserves a lifetime of relaxing retirement.
I think she's one of the best leaders this world's ever seen.
Absolutely.
And I mean, everything New Zealand does, I just go, oh, can we have that, please? Can we have your Prime Minister? Like, not now. Can we have your this? Can we have, you do everything first. And, people always send piss takes on New Zealand, but you were the first to have women voting. You were the first on so many things that,
it helps we're first in the dateline, so we're first almost for everything.
Maybe that's why you just love to be first.
Yeah.
But who cares? New Zealand, I mean, people know how great New Zealand is now, but we always just still look at you like a really sad cousin, but I don't. And I think people are really starting to get that. Yeah. There's a superiority about New Zealand and you just don't want to admit it kind of thing. That's the way people are getting it now.
Yeah, I think I was prepared to have a lot of animosity when I came here because we grew up in New Zealand and we think, oh, those bloody Aussies, you better stick it to them. Yeah. And then I came here and everyone's been just quite nice.
Oh, good. Yeah. Well, we do. You're our cousins. So at the end of the day, you got to hug your cousin, and you do embrace them. But, when you come from New Zealand before you meet us, you're just like, oh, I'm going to get that.
Gosh,
and then we adore you and you're like, oh, I love you too.
I know. I'm a traitor to New Zealand and I really like Australia.
Well, when, I lived in London, did the whole backpacking thing, as you do in your 20s, and we just used to get lumped together, obviously. So I just learnt then to really love the New Zealand sibling because they'd call us Antipodeans all the time, and I'd never heard of the Antipodes.
You have something in common because you've travelled so far. You want to see the world, and so you've got these people around you that have found themselves in the same boat.
And over there, they don't know if you're New Zealand or Australian because we sound the same to them. And we would be like, we sound nothing alike.
I cannot do an Australian accent. I've tried and it's just always terrible.
Give us a go.
The only word I feel like I can sort of do is ridiculous.
Ridiculous. Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
That's a hard one though, ridiculous.
Ridiculous. Because it's like,
I think how you going.
How you going? But then I just sound like a New Zealander, I feel.
Yeah.
It's like you have to get those eyes.
I love a New Zealand accent. It's actually one of my favourites.
Oh, that's actually pretty good. You sound like someone you'd meet at like an RSL in New Zealand, just like, so do you want do you want a cider or something?
Like a Pakua woman? Is that what was the Pakia woman?
Yeah.
Like, I'd be like, do you want to sit down over there?
Yes, I love that. That's amazing. I feel like I've met you before.
The scones are homemade here today, aren't they? Would you like them with some Russells?
Oh, that is so good.
Oh, thank you.
That's amazing.
Thank you. My brother married a New Zealand woman who has no New Zealand accent at all because she came over when she was a kid, but her mother sounds exactly like that. And I'm obsessed with her. Like, her name's Kath, and every time we talk, I just mimic her back to her.
Absolutely.
And she just goes, oh, Yvie, I love how you do that. It's so funny. And everyone else around goes, it's really annoying. And I'm like,
well,
is it though?
I love it.
Because Kath loves it, and that's all that matters.
Yeah, I love it. I love it because it's actually pretty good. Most people try and they don't stick the landing. And that it was just a caricature of a particular kind of New Zealander that I've definitely met before.
Good. Well, on that note, I'll leave it at that. It was so lovely to have you here.
Oh, it's so nice to chat to you.
Thank you for coming in and giving us your time.
Oh, of course.
Melanie Bracewell. I went to school with a Donna Bracewell. It's the only Bracewell I knew.
Now times have changed.
Fun fact for you. Now I know one more, and I know of 2 other cricketers.
Oh my gosh. Wow, the whole family tree's growing in your mind.
Chook us with the rest of your show
Thank
season, and I'll be following closely. Can't wait to see how it goes in Edinburgh. Congratulations on that.
Thank you so much. I'm really excited.
If people want to come and see your show, it's called Attack of the Melanie Bracewell. It's playing at Max Watts.
Max Watts, yes. And then I'm touring around Sydney and Perth. And
so just go.
Brisbane.
You can find her name's Melanie Bracewell. Buy some tickets and go and see her. Thank you again.
Thank you so much.